Brad, this is the next episode of True Wrestling Fans Discussions. Continue our retro WrestleMania review series. Going to be WrestleMania 18. I'm your host, Mike.
I'm Frank. Man, let's get into it, man. We got a lot to cover, especially on this one.
Mm-hmm.
This was pretty much a game of can you top this from the year before?
Yep.
Can you top the main event from the year before? Absolutely not. Can you outdo the matches from a year before? It's a close second. But as far as main events go, no.
Well, not the main event. Not the main event, but
not the main event.
yeah. But the real main event.
The main event.
The real main event was
the hands else. Down,
yeah.
Yes. Okay. March 17, 2002. I know this day well because y'all were at my house for this one, and I missed the main event.
Yep, we'll get it.
Yeah, oh boy. Toronto, Ontario, Canada. 68,237 on hand, breaking the old SkyDome record.
Mm-hmm.
The buy rate on this one was actually pretty high. It was 860,000. So this was pretty good, and the card wasn't too bad itself as well. A couple of matches really didn't belong, but that's every WrestleMania. So here we go. Opening match, Intercontinental Championship. You had William Regal defending the title against Rob Van Dam.
Van Dam,
Mr. Monday Night. Now, this match wasn't bad.
Remember I used to do prime time.
How could I forget?
At Blockbuster, I was Mr. Monday Night on Blockbuster.
Yeah, that's why I kept putting you on Monday nights.
Yeah.
Well, you were there for Monday Night Raw. Yeah, exactly.
Me and Dave used to watch wrestling.
Yeah, no wonder why nothing got done the next day.
Yeah, it wasn't that.
As long as the movies were put out, I didn't care. Yeah, 2:00 in the morning. Yeah, we got to it. Christ, the Raw was good. This match it wasn't bad. I know I've read a few reviews on this one, and some people said that it was lacklusting, especially for an opening bout.
I thought it was fine. It was a very stiff match. Like it looked real.
Yeah,
those guys like to work snug, so it worked. It was good. It was fine.
RVD really didn't hurt anybody here.
Not this time, but
no.
I was happy to see RVD as his first WrestleMania IC championship. I always feel like RVD is one of those guys that never really got
underpushed.
Yeah, he was underpushed for sure.
Unfortunately, yeah. I mean, he finally got his moment, but it was a cup of coffee title reign.
At that
point. This was a guy that was never injured, showed up, and always had a match. He drew the fans in, no matter where he went, who he was fighting. Yeah, exactly. And he's the one guy in the early 2002 that actually took Brock Lesnar to the limit.
Yeah.
So this match had everything in it. It had the aerial, the high flying. It even had Regal cheating or trying to for that. On a couple of occasions, he tried to use the brass knucks. The first time he did it, RVD actually stopped him from using it to keep the match leveled. But the second time Regal tried to use them, again, the ref grabbed them. This time he saw them using it. RVD then kicked Regal and hit the 5-star splash on him. Gets the 1-2-3 victory, and RVD is the Intercontinental Champion at WrestleMania. So on his debut, not a bad performance. Not a bad time on us, too. A little over 10 minutes.
No, I thought it was perfect.
It was perfect. Perfect opening match. Everything went well on this one. So following this one, it was weird to see her doing this in a interview capacity. But Lillian Garcia was interviewing Christian about his upcoming match with Diamond Dallas Page.
Christian, now from Tampa, Florida, so he wouldn't get the pop. So he wouldn't get the home.
Yeah, he had to play. He played the heel good on this one.
They said he was from Tampa because if he would have came out from Toronto, Canada, or from wherever in Canada, they would have cheered.
Could have been the biggest heel on the planet. They would have cheered him.
Yeah, so they said he's from Tampa. We know he's not. But he's playing heel.
Yeah, they showed what happened. The Monday night, previous Monday night, he beat Billy Gunn, finally ending his drought that he was on. Because a recap real quick. He was constantly doing the temper tantrums, and DDP took him under his wing with the catchphrase. That's not a bad thing.
That's a good thing. Yeah, positive page. One day when we go over the invasion disaster, I'll get into how they ruined Diamond Dallas Page and how they just really just destroyed.
If this was him rounding third and coming home for his for the end of his career, they did a piss poor job.
I mean, not to get too into it, but he gets hurt right after this, so they couldn't have really predicted that. Then his career is basically over.
Yeah.
Either way, they destroy his character. It's me. It's DP. It's great. It's great.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Well, you start him off with getting a beat down from Undertaker. Yeah, so I mean, it doesn't go well from there, unfortunately. But Christian got the win against Billy Gunn. He turns on DDP during that match. So now we've got these two in the
one Billy Gunn, right?
Oh no, not yet. No, this was Suck and Chuck version.
Oh, I thought he was still the one though.
No, he crossed over with Chucky.
Okay,
no, Jesus, yeah. Like Billy and Chuck, or as I like to call him, Suck and Chuck.
Billy, the king of tag teams.
Seriously, hey, he made everybody that teamed with him relevant.
Unlike Bagwell, like he actually.
Billy Gunn was successful.
Yeah, right. As far as the tag guy, he kept winning titles.
Yeah,
over and over.
I always said when he was the one Billy Gunn, he was the perfect candidate to be Intercontinental Champion.
I thought he was terrible. I don't want to get into the Billy Gunn thing.
Even in his 2004 run when he left, when he was back in singles competition, he was still good. I always thought he was a good mid-carder, not as Rockabilly. Let's just draw the line there.
He had a great look and he could wrestle, but his character was always hot garbage as far as I was concerned.
Mr. S?
Awful. And they tried to push him. Vince was in love with that. I don't want to go off on a tangent.
I know.
Vince was in love with this guy, and he kept pushing him, and he kept getting hurt, and he kept pushing him.
Until he finally pushed him out the door.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, getting back to Christian.
Yeah, exactly. We're like on Billy Gunn here.
Yeah, the one.
European Championship, Diamond Dallas Page defending against Christian. Again, this wasn't a bad match. DDP was a little off. I wouldn't say it was nerves because, I mean, he's used to wrestling by this point, not in front of 68,000 people.
Right.
They had mentioned, Ross and Lawler had mentioned several times that, this is he's back in the SkyDome. The first time he was there, he drove, they said his pink Cadillac when Rhythm and Blues came out to sing Honka 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 Love.
WrestleMania 6, yeah.
Mm-hmm. The only time we saw DDP in there until now. And the match itself wasn't good, wasn't bad. I would say it was average. It was another 10-minute match. DDP in his one and only WrestleMania hits the Diamond Cutter, gets the pin, keeps the European title, so he'll retire 1-0 in WrestleMania.
And then he cuts a promo afterwards.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, you.
I'm impressed.
Controlled your temper, and
then in front of all these people, you didn't throw a tantrum, and all of a sudden here it comes.
And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. Jesus Christ.
That was pitiful. That was the worst.
Right.
There was only one thing worse than that. And that's when he was part of a tag team in WCW called the Insiders.
I wasn't watching them. I wasn't watching them.
I think I was the only one.
I think it was you and 5 other people.
I think I really was. At that point, I don't know why I was watching at this point. Because there was no competition and nobody was coming in.
No. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Wait till we get to those pay-per-view reviews. That's going to be fun. Any event, after this was one of the best promos of the night. I really love this one. I laughed so hard the first time I saw it and even recently when I watched this again. Jonathan Coachman is interviewing The Rock, and The Rock has asked him, have you said your prayers? He goes, well, I was busy. I didn't get around to it. He goes, get down on your knees. What up, G? What in the blue hell?
He said, say your prayers. Because he said, say your prayers like you've never said them before. And then he took it like, oh, I'll do a prayer that I've never done. Rock.
What up, G? I want to give you a shout out.
That was funny.
Get the hell out of here, you sick freak. And then Rock cut a great promo on Hulk Hogan. There was never a bad promo that Rock has done. Everything leading up to that match was dead on accurate. So this promo was pretty good. Now, our next match, this is one that I'm talking about that didn't belong on the card, at least not these participants. Maven defending the Hardcore Championship against Goldust. Now, Goldust has just recently returned to the WWE. And then there's Maven.
Nobody cares.
Not really, no. The one time they put him in a Survivor Series main event, they played the injury thing where he was hurt. He couldn't make the match. This guy, I like his theme song, even though they lost the rights to it. They didn't have it in this. I do love his theme song when he came out. Unibrow just didn't have the look to me. There was something about him. They tried. They gave him the spot at the Rumble with The Undertaker 2 years in a row. One was successful. They had him fight The Undertaker, which I'm shocked he was still there after he fought The Undertaker, because The Undertaker was the make or break guy back then. I think they gave him every chance in the world and he couldn't deliver. And how funny in this one, 3-minute match, he couldn't deliver.
Yeah.
What they wind up doing? Spike Dudley comes down and pins Maven and becomes the hardcore champion because of the ridiculous 24/7 rule. If they would have just gotten rid of that, I think the title would have been a little bit more interesting to watch as opposed to what we've just recently had. I mean, the 24/7 rule was garbage. And not to mention, I think there was several title changes this night.
There were. It was just for comedy. So, I mean, I didn't mind it that much. It was just...
People, anybody needs your snacks, go get them now. Maven's out here. So the next thing after this was kind of cool. Drowning Pool performing Tearaway, one of my favorite bands. They did a good job on that. And they also had Saliva there that night.
Yeah.
I really thought that, because they had Drowning Pool bring out Triple H and their thing, I really thought that Saliva was going to bring King of My World. That would have been perfect for Jericho to come out to.
Yeah.
But no, he didn't. That would have made it a little better. And then following that, they actually, while they were singing this, they had the story on the Titantron of everything that was leading up to the main event between Jericho and Triple H, which was great. Just unfortunately on this night, that shouldn't have been the main event. I know. What?
The whole Triple H comeback thing was cool. Like everything that he went through. Mm-hmm. But as far as storytelling, Jericho, and we'll get to when we get to the main event, I thought it was garbage.
The whole thing with Stephanie?
Yeah, we'll get into it later.
Okay. So, following the Drowning Pool's performance, they go into the back. Fight still continuing over the hardcore title. Hurricane swoops in, pins Spike.
Hurricane was funny, man.
He was. I love when Rock used to. Yeah, you hamburglar bitch.
I used to love when he used to just fly, and people used to look around like, "What was that?"
Well, the fact that he went to Vince and he said, "Look, I have an idea of something I've always wanted to do," and Vince actually said, "Okay, run with it." I honestly thought Vince was going, "What are you, nuts?" But then again, this is the guy that had Toxic Turtles in 1993, so anything's possible when it comes to Vince. So Hurricane swoops in, pins Spike. He is now the hardcore champion, at least for the moment. So now, following that segment, good Lord, we have Kane versus Kurt Angle. And this was a good one in itself. Really good match. Two of them worked well with each other. Not often did they work together, but when they did, they were good matches. Kurt's coming off two very impressive WrestleManias where he fought Jericho and Benoit, and then Benoit at 17. Kane, at least this is a lot better than being in a hardcore championship match the year before. The match itself was pretty good. Ran almost 16 minutes. Perfect time for these two guys. What's funny is before the match even starts, Angle hits him with the ring bell. So now it's like, okay, is this match going to happen? Is there going to be a disqualification? Like, what's going on here? Luckily, we did have the match. What's funny is Kane went in for the chokeslam. Angle reversed it and rolled up Kane for the pin and had his feet on the rope, so that's how he beat the Big Red Machine. Never thought he was going to get him to tap, and I don't think the Angle slam would have been enough to pin Kane. So obviously, Angle's going to do what Angle's going to do. So this was a good victory for Angle. Unfortunately for Kane, not so much. So following this, now we're back to the hardcore title. This hardcore title is getting more exposure than Sunny. And this is ridiculous. Yes. Hurricane is behind. This was I did like this though. He was, he's hiding. All of a sudden, he hears some commotion. He goes behind the screen. It's the Godfather's hose. So now all of a sudden, we're back to the Godfather. But by this point, nobody really it's kind of dead.
He had lost his steam after the Goodfather. He had lost.
So did Val, unfortunately, yeah. But this was actually funny because as they're talking amongst themselves, he's got a broom in his hand, and of course, broom. Yeah, I won't get into any further. Just
it was funny. It was funny.
Godfather ran him out of there, and so be it. And then now following this, they showed what led up to our next match, which started the feud started at No Way Out between Ric Flair and The Undertaker.
Mm-hmm.
A match that we wanted to see. I don't know. I guess you could say it was about 10 years prior.
10 years prior, yeah. Undertaker pushed for this. He wanted to work with Flair. He had a lot of respect. I
don't blame him because I'll tell you what, this match was great.
Yeah, in my opinion. And I actually like the story. I mean, Vince and Flair were co-owners, right?
Yeah,
at that
time. He had the consortium stock.
Yeah,
and Vince is doing his thing.
So then he wants to fight Undertaker because Undertaker beat up Arn and he beat up his son.
David Flair,
yeah. So then he wants to fight him. So then the board, I guess, kind of relinquishes power temporarily or something like that.
Yeah, back to Vince until this is over.
Yeah.
Oh, and Vince is all like, yeah. I really expected Vince to be the special guest referee in this match. I really expected that to happen, considering he had beef with Flair. Remember, they fought at the Rumble and stuff. And it was good seeing Flair back in WWE.
It was to see Flair in WrestleMania again.
At this point, he still looks like he has it. He's late 40s, early 50s. But he's still
he's in his 50s already, man. He's already in his 50s because I think he was in his early 40s in '92.
I know he was 58 when he retired in WrestleMania 24, which was 2008. So this is 6 years prior. So 52.
Yeah.
So, but this wasn't sagging Ric Flair. He still had something.
Yeah, some gas left in the tank.
Yeah, just thankful. 17-time champion wasn't in the cards, but the match itself was nothing short of spectacular. Almost a half an hour they went. And this was
How about Arn, man? How about Arn?
The spine buster.
Love that spine buster, man.
Arn Anderson still showed that he had it.
Yeah.
And he comes into the ring and perfect spine buster. Place goes nuts.
Yeah. Huge pop.
Because Taker right now is 9-0.
Because Undertaker beat his ass.
Oh my God.
He beat his ass, man.
I
kind of felt bad.
He whooped on Arn too.
Yeah, I kind of felt bad for Flair because I was like, he has no chance, man.
This is not fair to Flair.
Yeah, he has no chance.
No, and the fact that he was able to go toe to toe with him says a lot. What's funny is when he was going for the last, he was going to go for the last ride, but instead he goes old school and did the tombstone.
Tombstone, yeah. And Vince made this a no DQ, right? That was Vince's stipulation, also. Okay.
Oh yeah, they had pipes because he got the lead pipe from his motorcycle.
Yeah. Big Evil. This is
tables.
He's Big Evil now, right? Or later on, he's Big Evil. He's the heel. He's heel biker, but I don't know if he's Big Evil yet.
On the network, he came out to
Roland. He wants to Roland, yeah. But so I think it's later in the year he becomes. I don't remember.
Yeah, Dead Man Walking, which was an all right theme.
All right. Either way, he was a heel.
Yeah, Big Evil comes later, but he is a heel. Even though he's still heel or not, he's getting cheered.
Oh yeah.
Remember WrestleMania 15? Heel cheered.
So this is 10, right?
Yeah, 10-0 for the Undertaker.
So he does the thing. This is when he does the thing with the hands, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's telling, and this is where they really started.
They really acknowledged. Yeah, they really started acknowledging.
Because they didn't say that he was 9-0 the previous year.
I think. I feel
like they reiterated it this time.
They reiterated it this time. Yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, and going forward, that's where the streak became relevant, where everybody wants to take it out. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, he ain't taking it out. And what's funny is after the match is even over, Undertaker clotheslines the referee. So gotta love it. So our next segment was Michael Cole interviewing Booker T. Now what's funny is this match is based off a Japanese shampoo commercial.
Booker T had the glasses.
Serious? Yeah, he's talking about that he's got education. Okay.
Booker T's another guy that
the storyline to this was crap. Having these two guys face each other was great because they both have good ring and
they're great wrestlers.
The storyline just needed to be.
The storyline was garbage,
better.
And Booker, they didn't get. I mean, they messed. It took them years to actually do something good with Booker T. He's another guy that they came in that they almost ruined him. and
when they finally gave him back the title years later.
Yeah, eventually he ended up doing some good. But I love Booker T. Booker T was the man. He was awesome in WCW.
Yes. Harlem Heat. I've said it. Harlem Heat.
Excited to see him come in, and they just, this was stupid. But
these
guys
with him. And the one thing I hated about Triple H, real quick, is that the following year he made sure he faced Booker T at WrestleMania so he could bury him.
After he made him look like garbage, calling him a criminal, all the other stuff. At least
I
don't want to get it. I don't
know.
But these are two great athletes, two great wrestlers, two great Hall of Famers. Just a shit storyline. But I thought the match was good. I enjoyed this match.
It really was. The execution, for the pin, he gets the victory over Booker T. Booker is 0-1 in his first WrestleMania. Unfortunately,
Spinaroonie though, man, he did this. That was a big pop when he did Spinaroonie.
Oh yes, people still gonna love that Spinaroonie. Not anymore though. He tried it at the Rumble. He botched that completely. But Booker is always going to be a great draw. Unfortunately, like you said, they crapped on him.
I remember,
but Vince did crapped on a lot of the WCW athletes that came in.
I used to love when he used to say, "Tell me you did not just say that." I used to say that all the time when people used to say that they returned their videos on time at Blockbuster, and I used to say, "Tell me you did not just say that."
Yeah, and when they when they're done arguing with you and they want the store manager, and they came to me, and I actually said one time, I said, "Don't hate the player, hate the game."
Yeah. Oh God, good times.
Oh God, you have no idea. Yeah, great. I think this was the first time too that not only did I had the everybody at WrestleMania, but I think I did a 6-foot hero instead of pizzas. I don't know. All the girls were in the kitchen. Christine and Nicole. The rest of us were screaming our head off.
Well, Nicole was at the store. She's the one that called you when the
No. It was Henry.
Oh, it was Henry? I thought it was Nicole.
Yeah, Henry.
No, Nicole was when the printer blew up. That was another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When she went with me to back to the store because it messed up, she goes, "Don't talk to the guy. You're drunk." I said, "I'm not drunk. I see 3 of him." Anyway, we'll get to the reason why I missed my main event later on. But moving on to the next segment, Jonathan Coachman's interviewing the Hurricane with Mighty Molly. Mighty Molly all of a sudden turns on Hurricane. She pins him. Now she's the hardcore champion. Good God, is this ever going to end?
Hit him with the front. She hit him with the frying pan.
Oh man, is this ever going to end? Following this was the video package that led to a match that really wasn't supposed to happen, and we'll get into that right now. It was Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Scott Hall. Now, this was supposed to be Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Hulk Hogan at first.
Right. And then
that was what was pitched.
Right. And then
neither one of them wanted to take the fall.
Yeah, I think Hogan didn't want to lose to him, and I think Austin didn't even want to work with him because of his experience with him in WCW.
And not to mention, this match also didn't happen because Scott Hall didn't want to take the fall against Austin, and they were like, "Oh, I'm sorry."
Well, I think I had also heard that it could have been Nash, which it probably should have been Nash. Because at least him and Nash were friends. They got along. Austin and Nash were friends. They never had any heat. But for whatever reason, they chose Scott Hall. And so this is the story, too. There's another story. Scott Hall was actually supposed to go over in this match. And Austin said, hell no. But by the time he said hell no, Vince had already changed his mind to put Austin over anyway. But that caused a lot of friction. And I don't know how you felt, but Scott Hall was not the same when he came to WWF at the second time around.
He did not look right.
He was just, I don't know what it was. He was just, he wasn't the outsider. And so this match, Austin was really upset. He felt like it was beneath him. This is like a lower mid-card match that didn't mean anything, that wasn't really promoted.
Well, this is around the start that Vince was like, okay, he was going to start moving Austin down the card. Right, and by the time it got to the Eddie Guerrero feud, Austin's like, no, screw this, I'm out of here, because he was supposed to lose the qualifying match to Brock Lesnar in the King of the Ring. He said, I'm not doing it. They replaced Bubba Dudley in there instead. Then they put him in a promo with Ric Flair, and then eventually the Big Show, he's like, all right, fine, I've worked with both guys before, no big deal. But when it got to that the bar where they were in El Paso, and him and Eddie Guerrero were gonna lock up, that's when he left. And he said he regretted it.
Well, he left because of Brock Lesnar. They wanted him the job to Brock Lesnar. the King of the Ring tournament, a King of the Ring qualifying match or something like that. They wanted him to
when
drop
he said that he wasn't going to do it,
and he said I would put him over as a pay-per-view to draw money, but not for this.
Exactly.
But
yeah,
not a good time.
He said that doing it on Monday Night Raw didn't make any sense.
It's not a good time for Austin either way. So this match,
no, it's not.
This match was lackluster. The build-up was, they had jumped Austin at No Way Out.
Yep.
They cost him the title, I guess. Was he fighting Jericho that night?
Okay. Yeah, he was fighting Jericho.
Yeah. So this match was.
I thought it should have been a 2-on-3 match. I think it should have been Rock and Austin versus the NWO at WrestleMania. I mean, I'm glad we got Rock and Hogan. Don't get me wrong, but for the next 4 weeks before the draft, all we got was Rock and Hogan. Rock and Austin versus the NWO, or Rock and Hogan against the NWO. Right. I thought maybe this should have been a 2-on-3 match, even if it's not Rock.
They had that match at on Monday Night Raw before this, didn't they?
Yeah, and that's I think it would have been good at a pay-per-view.
And maybe at like one of those in-between pay-per-views, not at WrestleMania. It had to be one-on-ones. But it should have been Nash. If we were going to go anywhere, I feel like
I think Austin and Nash.
And because Nash was always in phenomenal, even though he kept getting hurt when he came back, but he still looked the part. Nash still looked the part. Yeah,
but Scott Hall was out to lunch.
So what ends up happening? This guy Austin just beats him. Like, right? He just
two stunners. Scott Hall sold it pretty well.
Yeah, he won
after Kevin Nash was in there. Yeah, he throws himself.
Like the Rock.
Yeah, and I mean the match was just under 12 minutes, so it wasn't long. I blame Austin for the way he felt, seeing as how he just spent the last year on top. No, but I mean, it's got to happen to where these guys got to rotate in and out. You can't just stay on top all the time and then get pissed off just because you've been moved. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
I mean, if Austin had to take his bumps and beat a mid-carder, so be it. Moving on now to the next encounter. Good Lord. Before that, they showed the fan access and stuff, and WWE New York. The fan access looked great. The autograph session and stuff. The next match was for the tag titles. It was a 4 corners elimination match. Billy and Chuck. No Rico yet. Billy and Chuck defending against the APA, the Dudleys, and the Hardys. So for the 3rd year in a row, the Hardys and the Dudleys are going to lock up.
Wow.
So this match. Oh, by the way, fan access too. I love the fact that the Blockbuster logo was in there. I don't know if you caught that.
No, I didn't. I was like half paying attention when they were doing the access.
Yeah, I saw the Blockbuster logo was on there. Unfortunately, make a comeback, Dish. Come on, you can do it.
Could you imagine?
I'd be the first one in line to reapply. I'm telling you, man, video rentals is a nostalgic thing that would make a comeback.
It could. I think there's a market for it. Yeah. A niche market, but a market. I think you're right.
So our first elimination in this match was the APA by the Dudleys. The 3D Devon pinned Bradshaw, unfortunately, and I was shocked at this, that the APA was the first ones out.
There you go.
So following that, the Dudleys went out by way of the Hardys. Twist of Fate and a Swanton, Matt pinned Bubba. This was right at the time where Billy sent Devon through the table outside, like, bye-bye, you're done. So now the Dudleys are out. No love for the Dudleys getting them tag titles at WrestleMania.
Sorry.
And then finally, unfortunately, the Hardys went out by way of Billy and Chuck. Billy hit Jeff with the belt, and then Chuck pins him. So they're still the reigning and defending tag team champions, unfortunately. Of course, when the draft comes along, they break up the APA, Dudleys, and the Hardys, which made no sense whatsoever.
They had like their Backstreet Boy theme song. Like it was supposed to be like a ripoff of Backstreet Boys. Remember the theme song?
Yeah.
What was the tag team in WCW that was like the same? Remember the boy band in WCW?
Oh, 3 Count.
Yeah.
Evan Courageous, Hurricane, Shane Helms, and
this was this was their kind of version. These guys were much older though. They weren't.
Yeah, but the fact is, these guys would lip sync and do it bad, mind you, while they stood on a green circle, and they just did.
It was kind of funny.
Well, you have Billy and Chuck, the Amazon wish list, 3 Count. Yeah. So what are you gonna do? Following this, they had Hall and Nash in the back with Hogan. Hogan telling them, stay in the back. I got this.
Mm-hmm. He's got to know. He's got to know. It's like Dirty Harry. I got to know, man.
And they're like, screw what he says, man. We're
still gonna get involved,
this.
something like that, yeah.
And they did. So our next match on the card should have been. This is now. I've always said the WWE Championship match, regardless of what it is, should be the main event of WrestleMania. However, this is the pay-per-view with the exception.
Yeah.
Rock against Hollywood Hulk Hogan, icon versus icon, the match we never thought we would ever see, and never thought we'd see again until they trashed it in No Way Out the following year.
Well, yeah, we'll pretend that didn't happen.
Exactly.
This is the greatest promo, I think, of all time.
When Hogan came out on Raw.
Yes. Hogan and Rock going back and forth. They loved you. They
believed in you. Yeah. The Rock believed in you.
I remember I was actually at my friend Oz's house that night, and I remember me, Dave, and Oz watching that promo, and just like, holy shit.
I couldn't believe it.
Like, this is happening.
You talk about headlining WrestleMania after WrestleMania after WrestleMania. Well, what would you say to main eventing one more WrestleMania with The Rock?
The music.
And the whole place goes nuts. I'm like, holy shit. Are we going to see this?
Good luck. You're going to need it. Not as much as you are. Brother.
Rock bottom.
Tremendous. Then the promo package, too, with the music, besides the actual live thing. Yeah. Because Hogan had a great package. It's just tremendous. Tremendous. The
whole NWO for life truck going into the ambulance.
I thought that was overboard. It was fine. It was overboard. I thought that was. You know what it was?
It was funny cheesy, I guess.
No, but you know why they did it? They were trying so hard to get heat with Hogan.
And unfortunately, it wasn't working.
And it didn't work.
Not because the reason why he's in WWE. This is the immortal Hulk
Hogan. Yeah, we had waited 9 years for this guy to come back. Even though we were watching WWE, but I'm saying we had waited 9 years for this guy to come back.
I always asked the question back then before Vince bought them: would he ever return, and who would he face if he ever returned?
Yeah.
And when the NWO finally came back, the first thing I thought in my head was Rock and Austin, obviously. But when they cut that promo and they signed the match, I'm like, this is incredible.
But even just real quick, touching on their debut in No Way Out, when Hogan grabs the mic, the crowd goes crazy. Yes. Crazy. So this was a tremendous build-up. This is actually the last WWF WrestleMania. Yeah. Because shortly after that,
they got a couple months later.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, it's funny.
Well, World Wildlife Fund finally, after all these years, make a stink.
Thanks, Jerry. What's the guy? Is it McDivitt? Is that what's the lawyer's name that never loses? Apparently he did.
Yeah, exactly.
Side note, they edited when the Warrior gave his interview at the Hall of Fame. He said, like, how did you lose that lawsuit? He said it, and they edited it out. Like, if you watch it now, they edited out the Warrior saying,
well, he's right.
Yeah,
you lost to the World Wildlife Fund, but I don't. But for all these years, they had the same initials. Now you have a problem.
I think the litigation was going on for a while, but either way,
whatever. Yeah.
By the way,
that was right around the draft is when the F went. Got the F out
shortly after that.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, this match, hands down, tremendous.
Let's talk about the entrances.
Yeah,
the fact that Hogan comes out and they're cheering him.
Oh my God!
Like crazy, because Canada is like an alternate reality. Like they love certain people. They just love, and they're louder for anybody. So for Hogan, I mean that they cheered him tremendously. Even though The Rock was the baby face, The Rock comes out. He does get a good pop. Pop.
And then during the match, he gets booed.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously we're going to talk about that, but their entrances were tremendous. Hogan obviously had more of the pop. You know what's funny? So going into this, of course, I love the NWO, I love Hogan, but I'm a Rock fan. I've been a Rock fan since the beginning, since the very beginning. Maybe not so much Rocky Maivia. I didn't hate him. I wasn't chanting "Die Rocky Die."
Nation Rock is where I started taking interest.
That's when even when they were booing him, when he was the Nation, I was cheering him. Throughout that whole heel run, I was even when he went babyface for 2 seconds and then turned heel again, and
that's Survivor Series. Yeah,
Survivor Series, I was still Rock all the way. But in this match, I became a 9-year-old Hulkamaniac again, and all of us did, because I started cheering Hogan. When they lock up, and then Hogan throws him down.
We went nuts.
We went crazy, and
I think the neighbors only twice did they ever come down and knock on my door. Dave slammed the door in their face both times. Yeah. It was this and SummerSlam that year
when Shawn Michaels kicked
had kicked up
versus Triple H.
Yep, but when Hogan hulked up.
But even before
I know, but that was the biggest pop.
That was the biggest. Yeah.
We went nuts.
But the initial, I know, no doubt. But the initial, like when he throws him down and you see Hogan look, it's like, well, then we're jumping all over the place. How about the stare down when they go face to face and then they both look to the side and look at the crowd and they explode
and you hear Rocky Hogan. Yeah. It's like it's split right down the middle.
But then eventually it goes to Rocky sucks.
Rocky sucks.
But when they lock up, he throws him down and he goes like that, and then Hogan does it again, and then Hogan looks to the crowd, and then he starts posing, and then he goes like this, and forget about it. Bro.
This wasn't NWO Hollywood Hogan wrestling this match. This was the Immortal Hulk Hogan.
Absolutely. So the crowd really makes this match, man. The crowd is just, because the match is not. I mean, it's not a great technical match. I think the psychology of the match is good, though. The psychology is excellent, but the crowd really makes this match, and they didn't know that was going to happen. They kind of almost called an audible in that once the crowd turned to Hogan's side, Hogan started playing babyface to a degree because he did heel stuff in this match. Yeah. But Hogan always did heel stuff.
Especially with the weight belt.
But The Rock was smart enough to realize, hey, let me play heel. Let me play heel in this match. And I guess Vince it must have been Vince that told Jerry the King Lawler and Jim Ross what was happening, like to go the story for them to tell, because initially JR's like, oh, it's a mixed reaction or something like that, and I'm like, it wasn't a mixed reaction. The crowd is clearly behind Hogan.
Exactly.
So because what was going to happen was he was still going to be NWO. What was supposed to happen was, like I said earlier, Scott Hall was supposed to go over on Austin, and then The Rock was supposed to beat Hogan, but then the NWO comes out and the NWO beat up The Rock. That was supposed to happen. But when the crowd turned to Hogan's side, they called the audible and changed that whole thing up. We'll get into the ending in a little bit.
Yeah, because I remember saying it even that night. Why the hell is the NWO just got back together? Why the hell is this already happening?
That's what happened.
A month after they got back.
Yeah, because they figured, well, the fans they're gonna support Hogan. We can't. Unfortunately in WWE, yeah. What I think happened was they realized the NWO wasn't really working, but Hogan was. So they made that switch. But there was a lot of good spots in this match, with Hogan taking the weight belt off and whipping The Rock. They're still cheering for him. The Rock,
Hogan could have done the most deceitful things known to man. The fans were still backing him.
Yeah, they were still behind them 100%.
Oh, yeah. Even when Hogan threw The Rock into the referee, and now the referee's down, now there's some type of shenanigans.
Yeah, because The Rock had him beat. The Rock had him in the sharpshooter, and Hogan was tapping.
Oh yeah, of course that's the typical thing. We're no referee, he's tapping, fans are booing, going nuts. The crowd at this point now is really where the chant of Rocky sucks started, and I was like, oh damn. I was like, are we gonna have a WrestleMania 13 happen tonight, where we have a double change? And of course, Hogan did the best. Was Hogan doing the rock bottom?
Yeah,
to Rock. That was like,
that was cool. It was out of nowhere too. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, I always thought it was funny when Austin did it, but now Rock's doing it. I mean, Hogan's doing it. Yeah. I'm like, Hogan actually knows another move. So, and then of course, Rock now whipping Hogan with his weight belt. He's doing the heel stuff. He hits another rock bottom on Hulk, and then this is where we all went batshit crazy. Yep. He kicks out and just hulks up, and that whole place just went insane. This is why I said to this night, this should have been the main event.
I mean, some things
unfortunately.
Some things you can't predict to a degree, but you had to realize how big of a match this was.
They had to know that Hogan was going to be huge with his WWE fans.
Yeah, and the thing about the Hulk up, it was shocking, at least for me, because he's a heel.
Yeah,
Hollywood Hogan doesn't Hulk up. I think he might have done it like once or twice. I don't
really remember him in WCW doing it as the NWO.
I think in the beginning. In the beginning. But he doesn't. So to see him Hulk up, and you hadn't seen him Hulk up at WWF since Jesus Christ
9 years.
That moment, and then he hit. Does his comeback, big boot, leg drop, Rock kicks out, does it again, but he missed. Yeah, which is what happens him. Which is what happens him versus Warrior.
And then Rock hits the rock bottom. Yeah, exactly. SkyDome is a jinx to this man. Because now he's 0-2, unfortunately.
And like you said, Rock hits him with the two rock bottoms.
Two rock bottoms, and then this time, and now that this is at the point where Hogan's holding the rib.
Ribs, yeah.
I don't remember if he was selling it or if it was legit. I think it was legit.
The story that I remember reading around that time, and this is 20-something years ago, was that at a house show. I think it was Rikishi. He fought Rikishi in a house show and he got hurt and he hurt his rib.
Okay.
But I don't know if that was Hogan selling it like, oh, will he show up to WrestleMania? Will he not? I don't know. Who knows with Hogan? You never know. But I remember, I vaguely remember reading this.
Not going to work for me, brother.
Yeah. So, but I think, how about that? I still hold to, people go back and forth with this. Hogan should have went over on The Rock. This should have been his moment. The reason why I say that is because the whole wrestling's past meets wrestling's future. The Rock was not wrestling's future. He was going off to Hollywood.
Yeah.
He was
wrestling. In another few months, he's out.
And we all knew it. At least I did, because I used to follow all of the dirt sheets, all the behind the stuff on the internet. I knew he was going to Hollywood. I knew he was going to film.
We knew the outcome of SummerSlam's main event before SummerSlam even got there, because we knew he was leaving.
Right. So
like, what was the point of even watching? That's why they booed him.
Right. So the whole thing about The Rock needed this. I guess if you want to make the argument, because it was going to lead to Rock versus Lesnar. Yeah. I guess, but I just felt like because of being Hogan's return to WWF, because the crowd being so behind him, and because of The Rock, he's going to leave anyway. Hogan should have went over, but he doesn't ruin it.
WrestleMania.
Yeah, but it didn't ruin it. This didn't ruin the match. The NWO comes out and they attack.
Well, yeah, because while The Rock's celebrating and Hogan's still in that, Hogan beat up and battered, goes to shake his hand.
Yeah. And
they shake each other's hand. And from this moment till the very end of the segment, I really thought Rock was going to turn on him, especially. And again, I'm jumping a little bit, and then I'll get back. When he told him to start posing, and Hogan was sort of doing it, and The Rock kind of like did this with the face. I'm like, he's going to turn on him. Even the next night where he's trying to do his finally, and he's like, finally, he's getting angry. I'm like, oh shit, this guy's gonna turn.
Well, they were still in Canada the night after. That was.
And got booed out of the building. Yeah. But after the handshake, Hall and Nash is like, I'll take a page out of Hurricane. What up with that? They come out and they're beating him out. Rock comes back, helps him. And of course Hogan's like, this was supposed to be for life, brother. Yeah. How many times have they turned on you, bro? I mean, come on. I just didn't understand it, because I kept making the stink. About 1 month ago, you guys just came back, and now Hogan's out of it. And what makes it even worse is Hogan loses this match and becomes the #1 contender. That's Hogan's politics.
No. Listen, I know we all know Hogan's a politician, but at the end of the day, Hogan had so much momentum that it only felt right for him to give him the WWF title one last time, just one last time. Came back
and when we eventually get to that backlash, that was one of my favorite matches, because it was Triple H and Hogan, something we would never see again.
And I actually think that, and I could be wrong, but I think Hogan is the last WWF champion, because I think after that belt gets turned into the WWE championship. After he loses the Undertaker, I think it becomes the WWE championship.
Yeah, it was right around that time that they changed it.
Either way,
there was so many. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he's the last WWF.
There were so many changes that year, because, quite honestly, everybody, for whatever reason, wanted to be known as the undisputed champion. So we start the year off with Jericho and we end with Kurt Angle. But constantly each month it was changing. And I felt like we were in WCW 2000.
Yeah, I just mentioned the WWF name because it changes the WWE because of the lawsuit. But 2002 reminds me a lot of 1992 in a way, because of how star-studded it actually is.
Oh yeah,
but then
I thought the same thing.
Yeah, but then because WCW is no more. But then the problem, I shouldn't say necessarily a problem. Some people don't actually get to meet, because Hogan leaves in the summer and then Shawn Michaels comes back in.
Yeah,
right in the summer. So you didn't have Shawn there. Scott Steiner comes later in 2002,
November
Survivor Series. Mm-hmm. Right, Goldberg doesn't come to the year after.
Yeah,
2003. But this year, 2002 is really, really, really star-studded.
And still, even with Shawn Michaels' return that year, we still didn't get the one match that I wanted.
And Rock
from
leaves.
the Attitude. Yes, Rock and Shawn Michaels, because the Attitude Era couldn't happen. It doesn't.
Things never. But hey, we can't complain because 2002 was probably one of the best years in the business.
Except when I said they broke up the tag teams, which made no sense.
Yeah.
They wound up putting two of them back together.
Because of the drafts,
yeah. And then, of course, Jeff winds up getting fired, so they leave the Hardys off of it. But, yeah, star-studded when all the guys from WCW, the big-name holdouts, finally came. Flair in the NWO, Steiner later on, and then you have Brock Lesnar emerging on the scene. I mean, it was real star-studded for that year. So, yeah, I could see the reference to 1992. So after all of this, now Hogan Rock is telling him, no, you got to pose. He goes, you got to do the thing. So he's doing it real fast, obviously, because he's hurting.
Yeah, they go down the aisle. He says something to him,
and he starts crying.
Yeah,
because he pretty much told them, and he told the fans like they didn't know already. This guy, he's number one.
Yeah.
He's the man.
Yeah.
And for Hogan, as conceited as he is, to pass the torch to a guy that really didn't need the torch passed to, like you said, he's leaving. I thought it was cool.
No, it was a great moment.
I can still see the argument that Hogan should have won.
Yeah.
But again, Rock really, his WrestleMania track record last few years. I mean, he's over. So I mean, they got to give the guy something. But in any event, great match. When they tried to duplicate it the following year, cropped out.
It was like Exorcist Part 2.
Yeah, seriously. Oh my God, that's so bad. Halloween 3. Okay, so now moving on from here. And by the way, before this great Hall of Fame worthy match even happened, by the way, Christian became the hardcore champion, pinning Molly, throwing a door to her face.
No. So got one belt that night then.
For now. Our next match, which people probably didn't even care about because they're still on they're still coming off the adrenaline rush of Rock and Hogan. You've got the Women's Championship Triple Threat match. Jazz defending the title against Trish Stratus and Lita.
Hometown Trish from Canada.
Yep.
Came out the Canadian flag, the colors.
Just coming into her own too, as far as
wrestling.
Being a great wrestler.
Wrestling, yeah.
Lita, of course, it was phenomenal. Jazz. I wasn't really a fan per se. ECW
God forgive me. Yeah. God forgive me. I forgot she was even in the WWF until I saw this match.
Yeah, she was with the last.
I didn't even remember,
man. ECW.
Yeah, I didn't completely.
Rodney Mack's wife, and some people would be like, "Who?" But she wasn't bad. I just wasn't. No. I was. This match was pretty much almost like a squash match. It was really only 6 minutes, mainly because. And Rock's match only took 16 and a half, which is a shock because I really thought that would have went a little longer. Jazz hits the fisherman suplex off the top rope on Lita, gets the pin. She retains her title, and so no title for Trish and Lita on this stage. Yeah, so now we get to our main event.
Oh, Jesus.
For the undisputed WWE Championship, Chris Jericho with the Jezebel, Stephanie McMahon in her corner, versus the 2002 Royal Rumble winner, Triple H. Now, his return at the Garden that night, awesome. I was trying to actually get the tickets to that, and when it was announced that he was returning that night, tickets were gone.
Yeah.
I mean, less than an hour they sold out. I couldn't even get in there.
Yeah, it was huge.
So I watched it on Raw.
But this is what I want to get into in this match.
Okay.
The problem here is that they ruined Jericho. When they put Jericho with when Stephanie and Jericho were going back and forth with their beef, it was gold.
Bottom feeding, backstabbing.
It was tremendous. When they put them together, it didn't work.
That's like Rock and Austin. I mean, I'm sorry, not Vince and Austin. Yeah, they worked well against each other. Now all of a sudden you put them together. And
when they were together, it didn't work. And then with the Triple H came back, and then the thing with the dog later on, I think they ran over the dog. Did they run over the dog by accident? The dog gets run over. Something happens with the dog. I don't remember. But so Jericho pitched to Triple H. He said, "Let's do this. Let's do the storyline this way. Let's do it that I tell you, oh, listen, your wife is having an affair. Whatever problems we had in the past, I just think this is wrong. This isn't fair. And Triple H is like, no, I can't be. I don't believe you. And then he tells him that it's Rob Van Dam, right? Rob Van Dam's having an affair. So then he finally tells Triple H, oh, I have the proof. I have the footage. And it looks like it's Rob Van Dam, like, because Jericho tied up the ponytail looking like Rob Van Dam. And then he turns around in the video and it's him with Stephanie. And Stephanie's having an affair with him. And then Jericho just clobbers him. And then that leads to their feud. That was Jericho. And then Triple H said, no, my character would never fall for something like that. And my wife would never have an affair on me. So I'm not doing that. And so they did the other angle that she's like the special consultant or what? Well, I don't even know what her title. I don't know what her damn title was. Whatever. There's no affair. There's nothing going on. It's just that she hired him and she's managing him. And
well, how it went was when he came back and now he's a fan favorite. He's looking at what Stephanie has done over the past year in WWE, and he's not quite fond of it. And he's also thinking that she's a hindrance now rather than an advantage to him at this point. And so, because you could tell that there was no regime here. And then she knows that they're on the outs. They're fighting a lot during the time between the Rumble and here. So she wants to redo the vows. Now, anytime they do any type of wedding in WWE, it's ending in shit. It's
going to be bad, yeah.
And he just laid into her. The roar that came out of her, if you freeze frame that oh my God, that woman was vicious. One of the best things that ever at least happened there. He decks Vince, leaves her at the altar. Now all of a sudden she's hooked up with Chris Jericho because she's going up against her now, which soon to be ex-husband.
Jericho was he wasn't a good heel at least in this particular spot. I just felt like it didn't work, and I felt like it was more about Stephanie than it was about Jericho, and I felt it should have been about Jericho.
It was more Stephanie and Hunter as opposed to Jericho.
It was more about Triple H and Stephanie, and Jericho was kind of like in the back, and it just wasn't good. And Jericho told the story how he told Triple H and Vince, like, we can't be the main event because, I know it's for the title, but Rock and Hogan is so big that they're going to suck the life out of the building. By the time we get on, nobody's going to care about this match.
And it almost did too.
It did. And Triple H said that no, we have to be the main event because I understand technically it should be. And I'm a big believer the title should be, but this is a special.
In this case, I would exactly.
Yeah. So
this is a once in a lifetime iconic match that needed to be.
So by the time this happens, I didn't even care about the match, and then you didn't even get to watch it because.
No, because right before, because what was it? Drown and Pool started playing Triple H's entrance,
which was garbage. It was garbage. The year before was
Motorhead rocked it.
Motorhead was,
but this was on that Forcible Entry CD. Yeah. So I would have loved it if Motorhead came back again and did it.
Yeah, like but they were promoting the album. The thing was they were promoting that album, so
it would have been cool if Saliva had played King of My World for Jericho because that he's come out to a few times, but they didn't. Just as they played his theme, my phone rings. What happens? Henry's doing the used movie thing, drops a bunch of the things on the hard drive in the back. The damn thing goes haywire, and the whole system crashed. So I'm on the phone the entire time with them, trying to tell them who to call, computer support, and all this stuff. By the time I got done with them, I said, all right, what did I miss? You said everything because it was over, and y'all were heading for the door.
Well, you didn't miss much.
But I said, "Well, who won?" He goes, "Who do you think?"
Yeah. Well, because I knew that's the other part of this match.
We all
knew Triple H was going to win the title, so it was like
once he came back from his injury, I looked at Jericho as a placeholder.
Placeholder, foregone conclusion. Triple H is going to win.
Unfortunately, because it takes away from Jericho, and a lot of people don't think this is a spectacular moment. I don't think it's like the greatest of all time, but I think it's a pretty impressive accomplishment that you beat Rock and Stone Cold in the same night.
It was, but then after that, they didn't do anything with him. It was like garbage.
No, they really didn't because he fights Triple H one more time over the course of 2002 in a Hell in a Cell match. He really was going nowhere, and then eventually when Shawn Michaels returns, he starts working a program with him.
Yeah, but his run as the undisputed champion was nothing.
Not really, because the only two people he faced was Rock and Austin, because he faces them both in that winner take all at Armageddon. Then he faces The Rock at the Royal Rumble. Then he faces Austin at No Way Out. So, okay, we know he's going to win both of those in some form or fashion.
It was just
to go to face Triple H, who once he said, I'm declaring myself for the Rumble, I looked at Anna and I said, he's winning it.
No. So that was disappointing. I don't know if you remember this. We ended up going to Blockbuster after this because there was still problems. We got in Gargiulo's car and we all went to the store. We were singing.
Oh yeah, because I was there the whole night.
And we were singing Real American in the car.
Yeah,
I still remember that. We were singing Real American.
I spent a good portion.
We were there. We were all there. We were all there.
I remember I asked Oz to come to help out because I thought they would be done by the morning. So all the returns that we were getting and all the stuff that had to be done, I had gotten the approval from Cheapskate to get an extra body in there. Hector didn't care because I talked to him about it. He said, yeah, no problem. So I asked Oz, I said, listen, come in with me in the morning. We wound up standing there the whole day. 6 o'clock, they finally got everything working.
WrestleMania post show. So at Blockbuster Video.
Exactly.
Overall, this was a good WrestleMania. You know, Hogan and Rock stole the show, of course.
Well, the ending of this match was pretty good. How Jericho tried to go off the top rope. Triple H caught him, pedigrees him and gets the pin. The other good thing about this is
Triple H pedigree.
Oh, yeah, he pedigreed her too. So finally. Funny. But what also was a good selling point in this was they said that because of the sledgehammer attack the previous week on Raw, that his quad, and I quote, is hanging on by a thread.
And he had it taped up. They were just trying to get more.
We knew
he was winning. We knew he was winning the match.
They always do that with somebody coming back. They did with Cody Rhodes in the Rumble with his injury.
And for me,
always do it.
Triple H was always a better heel than babyface, as far as I'm concerned. He was just better heel.
And it didn't last long, a couple of months.
No, it didn't.
Because he faces Hogan, then back to Jericho, then faces The Undertaker trying to get his title back, and then Shawn Michaels reappears, and then we're doing this whole thing, and then he's Bischoff's boy for the next few years.
Yeah, so.
But I mean, for him to win this as a fan favorite, I liked it. But again, this should have been. They should have swapped the matches on the card.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this should have even just forget Jazz. That match should have never followed Rock.
Well, main event, man, like WrestleMania 8.
It should have been just back to back.
Been done before.
I know WrestleMania 8. Savage didn't get the credit that he deserved. He should have been in the main event, but no.
But this time it would have been
in there. But this time Hogan belonged in there.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's our WrestleMania review. Please like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you guys soon.
Take care.